All right, everybody can hear me. Thank you for being with us. Y'all, you've been listening along. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining me here, especially at this hour. What do you make of the assessment?
Well, look, I think it's quite clear that even though there is some confusion maybe about what the president messaging is as a way of timing, Iran has been degraded significantly. When the president is talking about the need to erode their nuclear capabilities, their missile capabilities, and their naval and military capabilities, all this was done. I think that you're right in saying that we have one zealot supreme leader replaced by his son who might be even more extreme. But the Iranian regime, as it is now, is far more fractured and weak than it was before. Now, this does not mean that they are willing to concede and give it away and not try to drag us and you and everyone else into this. But I think there is a good chance, if we can bring this to a halt in a reasonable amount of time before things get really, really messy, that we'll be dealing with a regime that will have to be more pragmatic than the previous one. Otherwise, they will be in a position where they have no economy and no allies in the region, no one who's willing to do anything for them. This might be a condition where we actually have an advantage. I think this is how, at least I try to look at what could be the situation next week or maybe in 2 weeks, whenever that will happen. I hope we're not dragged into a mess that will extend much longer than that, because the achievements on the ground are quite significant.
General, the analysis, General Clark, of we don't want to get dragged in versus we just dragged ourselves in. How do you see it?
Well, what I see is the president recognizes that he's going to fix. You know, we've struck all the targets that we had on the target base. It looked great, and we've probably done a lot of destruction. And I accept the fact that we took out 90% of their missiles and 80% of their drones and so forth, the statistics that he provided. But it's what you said, Chris. You got to get the Straits of Hormuz open. You got to restore the global economy, and I think that the Iranian government can play rope-a-dope with the United States for a long time on this. You just got to imagine they can just say, go ahead and bomb us. But the thing about it is, and I remember I ran an air campaign against Serbia, against Slobodan Milosevic in 1999. And here's what people don't understand. The targets you already have. After you've bombed 4,000 targets or something, you don't know what else to bomb. Now, what President Trump did was pretty smart. He said he's not going to bomb the power generation and stuff like this that will enable Iran to recover. So he's putting out a slight, small leaf of hope to the Iranians. He's waiting for them to say, okay, we're not going to do anything more to obstruct the Straits of Hormuz. And I've got to believe that the call that he made to Vladimir Putin, or Vladimir Putin made to him, we're not sure which one, that Putin is sort of engineering this thing to get this thing shut down. But it still leaves the nuclear issue. It still leaves Israel with its Hezbollah threat. But I see this going away in a few days, simply because anytime the president wants to call it off, it's off. So he's just looking for the right way to get it.
Well, first of all, he's got to negotiate what off means, obviously, with the IDF. They now have a very kinetic situation up north, which Hezbollah, which is absolutely operating on the behalf of the jihadi call from Iran. So I don't know how soon it can end for them. But America's got its own concerns. Now, what I want, sir, is for you to give perspective of who we're dealing with the regime. They imprisoned you. You know their mentality. You know their value system. You know what they see as winning. Do you believe if America just stops and says, okay, you learned your lesson, hopefully you'll be better now, is that wishful thinking?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on, Chris, and I extend a good evening to your guests. Look, my perspective is formed by my experience as the American citizen longest imprisoned by the Iranian regime. I was arrested and held in the Evin prison controlled by our IRGC for over a year. I was in solitary confinement for over 8 months. And I spent many hours discussing with senior and mid-level IRGC officers. The one thing I took away from them, and they told me quite straightforwardly, is that we are ready for a fight with the United States. You know, I said, you're poking the bear. And they said, we don't care, we're not afraid, we are prepared for this. And so this confirmed to me a perspective, Chris, which I think I'd like to share with the viewers, which is that, for a lot of Iranians, when they hear that President Trump started a war with Iran, they might respond, and many of them do, that no, they see President Trump as finishing a war that Iran started 47 years ago. Most Iranians that dislike the regime see this regime for what it really is. When it says death to America, it's sometimes referred to here as maybe just rhetoric or so forth, but they act on that. And they acted on that with me as an American by imprisoning me and taking other Americans hostage, because they do have a principled antagonism against the U.S. So I don't see them capitulating. I don't see them even moving towards compromise. And the selection of this supreme leader leads to only confirm that interpretation.
Yeah, listen, I think that's really helpful to the audience and really spot on. And let me tell you, how hard-earned was that perspective? God bless that you were able to make through it and come out with such clear eyes and be able to articulate it so eloquently. So thank you for that. General, the point to pick up on there is, okay, so America's finishing the war. From the Iranian perspective of those who want their country back, I totally get it. But that's only satisfied if the regime is removed. And one of the most confusing thing early on was hearing the Secretary of War and the president say, yeah, we're not so much in the regime change game. Well, how does that end well then? If the regime isn't taken out by these efforts or those to follow very soon, well, then how is that victory ended?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get regime change. I'd be surprised if we do. The Iranians have prepared for this fight for a long time, and they know exactly how Israel and the United States will attack. And so they expected casualties in the chain of command. They have in-depth, pre-organized strike patterns and so forth that are still being executed, even if they lose command and control of elements of their military. So they're just getting started with this. So the question is now, when the president says he thinks it's going to be over soon, he's ready to de-escalate. I think he is, because he recognizes that you can't continue with the Straits of Hormuz blocked. You can't. It's just too much on the world economy. So he wants to get out of it. The Iranians are in the strong position right now of they have the option of getting out of it or not. Now, if they're smart, they'll listen to Vladimir Putin and they'll back away. They can always come back and fight another day. And that's the way that they're probably going to look at it. But our problem is that if we wanted to continue this, we can't. To win an air campaign, you have to isolate the country from all. You have to convince your adversary that you're not stopping for anything. And unfortunately, Iran's really tough to isolate. Big country, lots of access points. And with Straits of Hormuz and oil and that sort of thing, you don't have an indefinite timeline unless you're willing to secure Straits of Hormuz. That's a one U.S. Army Corps amphibious attack, and it's 30, 50,000 troops. I don't think we're going to do that.
But there's a fundamental difference. And gentlemen, thank you very much. And I come back where I started. There's a difference. There's a fundamental aspect to everything that's been said tonight that we have to leave it on, which is this. Iran, the regime, is willing to put suffering on its own people, to sustain it, to watch them starve, to claim that they're victims, to die as martyrs, okay? There's an existential threat in Israel that Israelis understand, and there is a resolve tied in that. You have your own divisions, you have problems. In America, we were not expecting this. We just had 2 elections turn on this never happening again.
Yeah.
And it is squeezing us at home at a time where people are already desperate. So the idea that, well, America's in it, we're in it, you know, to the end, to the left. No, we're not.
Oh.
And I mean, maybe Trump and his guys are, but the money that's being spent, the pressure on the businesses, the pressure on the economy matters to people. And this new fear, the boogeyman is back, my brother.
Yeah.
The domestic terrorist, the lone wolf.
Yep.
These are not things that Americans thought they were signing off up for. That's why Trump's saying he's want to get out. But can Iran now say, well, we won't end it?
Well, Chris, you know, from an Israeli perspective, as you say before, for us, this is existential. If Iran, God forbid, get a nuclear weapon,
100%.
for us, you know, here, this
100%.
Okay, this is why we embarked on the 12-day war. I think the significant aspect of from an Israeli perspective was done in June of last year when we started that war, right? The United States, and I'm very happy, President Trump joined with Midnight Hammer to put the final chord in it. We pushed back the Iranian nuclear program very significantly. There's been zero enrichment in Iran over the last 8 months. This was the important piece in it. I think if it wasn't for President Trump committing to come to the assist of the people of Iran, I'm not sure we would have been in a war in Iran right now. I'm not sure this was the perfect timing for us, because we also needed more time perhaps to recuperate our defenses and everything else. Okay, and now we're in Lebanon. Now we can fight. You know, we have resolve, we have resources, we're able to do this. This is the battle of our lives.
Yes.
If President Trump decides to end this war next week, okay, you know, from an Israeli perspective, we have continued to degrade them. I agree with the panelists that this might not be sufficient for the revolution to be overthrown and for the people to come back at them. But as long as the nuclear program is weak and there are less missile threats at us, and the danger to the countries around us is also weaker, then it's better off that way than it was before. When President Trump decides to end it, fine, and I hope he can.
I get it. Two gross assumptions. One, that they'll let you end it.
Wow.
Because if they are martyrs, if they are psycho zealots, okay, you're now giving them power. And the second thing is, I do not believe, I know the polls are showing that the president has remarkable, to me, amazing support from his base on this. I don't know how they can support it when they were sold something completely different in the campaign. But the pressure at home is being felt differently.
Right.
How the Iranians play that, we'll see. But I appreciate you in giving us the Israeli perspective.
Yep.
General, thank you. And, sir, I have to tell you, thank God you survived. And you survived with a head and a heart that is making you a very powerful messenger. So thank you for bringing it here tonight. Gentlemen, we'll circle back when it comes back.